So we've heard from David Bates about the basic framework for thinking about safety and quality. Today, I'm very excited to have Dr. Madhu Pai with me. Madhu is an epidemiologist. He's a physician. He trained clinically in India, got his PhD from Berkeley, and holds the Canada Chair in Translational Epidemiology and Global Health, and directs the Global Health Program at McGill. Lots of titles. But what we're really going to talk about today is quality and TB. So we're going to take this kind of broad concept of quality and drill into one of the most pressing, ongoing challenges in health for people around the globe, and that's tuberculosis. So Madhu, thank you so much for doing this. I'm really excited that you're here.
A real pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to jump right in and give everybody a little background about tuberculosis. Obviously, TB's been with us forever. We've read about it in books from thousands of years ago.
Egyptian mummies.
Egyptian mummies, that's right. And yet here we are, 21st century, and it's still with us. Have we been making progress? Give us a little state of play of TB. Where are we with TB? How much progress have we made? What's going on with tuberculosis globally?
Really important issue, Ashish. So whenever I speak about the progress in TB, I show a slide of my grandfather in India, my mother's father. Even my mother has no memory of him because he died in his 20s of TB.
Wow.
Now I'm talking about 75, 80 years ago.
Yep.
And we know that there was nothing much anybody could have offered him.
Yep.
Born in the wrong era, died, so we could live with that. But to have 1.5-8 million people dying of TB today is just nuts because it's a curable bacterial infection. And to have that many people dying even today basically suggests that something is seriously off in how TB is managed.
Yeah.
There's no rationale to lose someone because we have the antibiotics. The antibiotics are bloody cheap. So there is really no reason to lose someone to TB today.
Yeah.
A few people with severe drug-resistant TB, that I understand. But most people are not dying of drug-resistant TB.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is the problem primarily now that everybody who's dying, everybody who's really sick, just has really highly drug-resistant TB? Is
Not
that the major problem?
No, not at all. Drug-resistant TB is a problem, no doubt, but it's mostly localized in some parts of the world.
Got it.
And the majority of deaths are not happening in drug-resistant cases.
Oh,
numerically, the numbers are relatively smaller.
Yeah.
1.28 millions are not drug-resistant.
Yeah.
Most of them are drug-sensitive TB that have somehow been botched up. They've either received care too late, or they've not received care at all, or they've been just mismanaged in the various sectors of healthcare. So the mortality is staggeringly high, and today actually the WHO says TB has surpassed the death burden of HIV and malaria. In other words, TB kills more people today than HIV and malaria combined.
Wow.
Which is the most recent statistics, and it ranks in the top 10 causes of deaths in the global burden of disease even today in the 2015 data.
So let me take a quick step back and just unpack that a little bit. One question that I was going to ask you is, how does TB compare to these other big killers, malaria, HIV/AIDS? Sounds like we've made real progress with HIV/AIDS and malaria. Are we making progress? Is TB getting better, but maybe just not getting as better as faster?
So
where is that
the latest projection shows that in the last 15 years, TB deaths have declined by about 20%.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
But you still are left with a residual 1.8 million deaths a year, which means it was significantly worse to start with.
Yeah.
Secondly, the numeric numbers of TB new cases have gone up.
Wow.
So the year before it was 9+ million.
Yeah.
Last World TB report, 2016, WHO increased it to 10.4.
Wow.
So that's today's number.
Yeah.
10.4 million cases and 1.8 million deaths.
Wow.
And of that 10.4 every year, new cases of TB every year, and almost 500,000 drug-resistant cases a year is the current estimates.
Got it.
So in some ways, numerically, it's worsened compared to previous years, which is the opposite of what most infectious diseases are trending to. And part of it is the fact that the numbers went up because of India. It's not that India has suddenly discovered TB.
Yeah.
The private sector in India is starting to notify, which, as you know, is a whole another issue in TB.
Yeah.
And the private sector does not even tell you what they're managing.
Yeah.
You end up with this holes in the data set
Got it.
that you really don't. So the honest answer is nobody in the world truly knows the true magnitude of TB, especially in countries like India. There's a whole slew of non-DOTS providers who are managing TB, who may not be telling anyone that they're managing TB.
Yeah.
When they start notifying, the numbers jumped up. That's what happened in India.
Got it. So 10.5 million is almost surely an underestimate.
Almost surely.
And the numbers have gone up not because number of TB cases is exploding, but we're actually starting to identify and capture cases that have been there before, but we just didn't know about.
We didn't know about that. That's even true for drug resistance. All of these decades, we were underestimating drug resistance because we never even tested for it. We were using sputum smears, which cannot detect drug resistance. That was the dominant diagnostic tool for TB. Now that we're starting to use molecular tests like GeneXpert, suddenly we are seeing much more rifampicin and MDR resistance, which again I think is not because something suddenly has exploded, because we are more aware by we are looking for it now.
Got it. Both the burden and the loss of life is not primarily due to the underlying disease itself. The underlying disease, of course, is problematic, but we know how to manage it.
We know how to manage it.
And the second is that it's not that we have no strategy for coverage. It's not that we have no ability to get people into care. That doesn't strike me as the dominant problem. And so what I'm hearing is that the dominant problem really is in the execution of what we do and how comprehensively and effectively we do it, which is essentially another way of saying the primary problem, at least one of the dominant problems, we don't have to rank it, is quality.
Yes.